Okay, so Yellowjackets episode 9, Doomcoming part 2. Here we go. We are at the dance. There is dancing. Jackie and Travis are dancing. Natalie is, Coach, I got real booze. Let's get out of here. But before that happens, Misty asks Coach to dance. Coach says his dancing days are behind him. Why don't you go dance with Javi? Did you savor these last calm, nice moments, Wynter, before the madness unfolded?
It just felt very bittersweet to know that there's not going to be many good times ahead for them. And also I appreciate the fact that this group I love these group of girls, because at no point I'm sure they're traumatized and they're still like exposed to the elements, and all of this is just a lot to take in. But I haven't seen a lot of giving up and just whatever. I've seen like stick-to-itiveness and let's just keep going. But man, it's hard to fathom what's ahead as a viewer, knowing that it ain't going to look good on the other side of this.
Yeah. Issa, were you watching this episode just waiting for the madness to unfold? Oh, Issa might have frozen. So we have Coach Ben with Natalie drinking, and Natalie not feeling the alcohol at the moment. Which was interesting. But that is where we realize that Misty and the mushrooms, the Different Strokes Three's Company Tom and Jerry situation is unfolding. As Coach says, Misty poisoned me again. And Natalie says, I think she poisoned us all. But then Natalie pointing out that, hey, you're not going to die from this.
Just ride it out. Ride the wave. Is what
Why
a clever.
They wanted to have a party. They wanted
to have a party.
Why not?
Exactly. I love that Natalie knew what it was automatically. It was shrooms.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
It is the moment,
That's
right?
our girl.
Yeah.
So yeah, Natalie is the expert on drugs. So in this, we get this moment, we get this scene. It has all started. It's really all Mari's fault. Misty just wanted to drug Coach Ben to release his inhibitions. Yes.
Jesus.
I know. Weren't the 90s like just, it's amazing what was considered like, it's just, this is acceptable. I
say it all the time. How are we not dead?
Yeah.
How?
But doesn't that make us tougher? Doesn't that make us tougher than
100%? We're so much tougher. But man, we were just skirting the line of danger and pushing ourselves to the very limits. The thing is like, it's almost funny to think about it. Not funny, haha, but what did these girls, were they protected from had they still been in high school and not 18 months in the middle of nowhere? I mean, what was ahead for them that is common and between 16 and 18 for young women? It's just nonstop thwarting, victimization and whatnot. And so it's almost kind of like, to me, like it's the worst possible situation, but what did they avoid by not being in the normal situation out in the world? The world is a little bit scarier than being trapped in these woods.
I love that, Wynter. I love that because I said that. I was like, listen, maybe it's because I'm a little antisocial too, but I'm like, I don't think there's anything wrong with being away from the world for 19 months. Let's figure it out. I mean, I don't know about eating grubs. That part, I don't know that I can handle. But you know what? Being away from the real world, I don't think it sounds so bad.
No, I don't think it sounds so bad. I mean, it's a tough age. Issa, being a 16-year-old girl is like, you're just excited. You can't wait to be 18. So like, I get it. Like they're missing out on a lot of key moments, but looking back on, as a 41-year-old, I've been like, oh, that would have been amazing if I had like a break, like a timeout, and then we'll resume.
We'll resume later.
Yeah, we'll resume later.
Yeah, it's interesting. They disappeared in June of 96. So really June of 96 into early 98.
Yeah.
Wow. It's crazy just to think about culturally everything that happened, current events.
Mm-hmm.
But
Very
at least
nuts.
they got to witness the 1998 Yankees, which were the greatest franchise in baseball history. So they got rescued just in time for that. Good for them. Good for them.
Well, and if Jackie survived, if that wasn't a continuity error in her journal, Jackie made up for lost time and watched all those movies that came out in late 96
Yeah.
and 97.
She completely caught up. That
Yeah.
must have been fun. Blockbuster just blew out Blockbuster.
Wynter, what's your
I
take
miss
on that?
Blockbuster, man.
Before we get into the craziness of the Doomcoming, what's your take on that? Is that continuity error, or were they foreshadowing something massive with Jackie's survival?
I think Jackie survived.
Okay.
And I don't know to what extent her survival has been. I don't know if she is altogether there, as you like we talked about in part one. Like they all exhibit like different types of psychoses and triggers and traumas. So I don't know what to extent, and I have zero idea of what she's about to endure.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing based on sort of like that flashback, that fade back, and the fact that she's not in touch with her parents, that she probably just went and made another life for herself, because the way it was going wasn't she, I can't imagine being 16 or 17 and learning, going through what they went through, and then learning that you're who you thought was your best friend is really the woman who's been sleeping with your boyfriend and essentially carrying his baby. I combine that with the trauma of what they're experiencing. I can't imagine that she comes out of it 100%.
And the fact that she was saving herself for Jeff, and assuming that Jeff is also saving herself for himself for her, it's a lot. I wrote in my notes as I'm watching the show. My notes literally say Jackie is petty, but I don't blame her, because I if I'm in that situation at that age, or even now as a grown up, I don't want to tell my best friend that I know. I want my best friend to look at me in the eye and tell me what is going on. So I know that Jackie is doing all this to get Shauna to, fess up and confess, because Jackie could easily confront her and say, I know. But
I think Shauna knows, though, Ita. I think Shauna knows that she knows. And
I think yesterday when she said, I wouldn't want to compete for another guy, with you. And I think the reaction on Shauna's face, you could tell that something clicked there. That she was like, oh, crap.
She was like, oh, shit.
Yes.
Well, there goes that. So that's going to be a thing.
Well, and we saw that Jackie's mom is like the queen of passive aggressiveness. So I think Jackie as the passive aggressive princess makes total sense. But to that point, if Jackie were alive in present day, like an institutionalized or disappeared, I could absolutely see her parents like just not even like they just swept that under the rug. They don't even talk about that. But I think it would be very South Park and Butters, like Professor Chaos, if we see Jackie in the asylum sending the postcards out to the adult Yellowjackets. I don't think that's the reveal we're going to get, but I do like that Jackie is leading a new life and has left it all behind. That's a very intriguing idea.
We're definitely getting a Jackie reveal tomorrow. I don't know that, or I'm sorry, next the final episode. Yeah. I don't know that. Look, I don't know how they've got. The producers said that they have a 5-season plan.
Yeah.
So we're gonna need to accelerate into what we're anticipating with Jackie, because I don't know that I can go another season not knowing what's going on with Jackie. Not after they shoved her in the closet this episode.
Yes. Oh my God.
So we learn who would be very mellow to trip with in the woods and who would be kind of aggro in this next scene. We have Van and Ty looks like a tree, and it's lovely and it's nice.
But wait, Glenn, or do the trees look like Ty?
But then the energy in the ground. This is like the foreshadowing that it's coming. It's here. Where's Travis? Travis is off with Jackie. It's interesting how Jackie puts the choice to him and does say the choice is yours, but she's not asking again. I do like making a pillow fort as being their euphemism for go time. That was kind of nice. But Travis does decide to say after Jackie, what do you make of Wynter of this forget nihilism, this rant, like nothing matters. None of it matters. We're just here. We're all dead husks. Let's get it on.
I think that what we've been seeing kind of unfold, I think particularly in the last 2 episodes, is that the wheels are falling off. So for them to sort of reach the apex, not even the apex yet, this is even like the beginning of the crazy. That's what's so compelling about this particular episode, is that we aren't, I wasn't a lost person, but my assumption based on, I was one of those people who watched the final episode based on all the drama leading up to the final episode to know that it was a trash episode. So my assumption is that the first season of Lost took a lot of time building world, building character, and by like the 8th episode of Lost, they were still like, oh, well, maybe somebody will come help us. Like, these girls are already like, we're stuck out here. They could never find us. We're probably gonna die.
I mean, so they call it Doomcoming. They accepted their fate.
Exactly. They're accepting their fate, which I think is very, very, very compelling. So and it hasn't even been that long. So going into this, I'm assuming that they're just ready to sort of whatever may come. They don't care. They're past that. They're ready to accept death, which is very deep and crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even what you're speaking about, Glenn, if you think about it, Jackie just seems like the kind of person, based on her popularity and the way that she acts, that even if she didn't have Jeff, she would save herself for somebody popular and this and that. You can realize that she's accepted her fate the second that she says, all right, I'm going to go and screw Travis because I'm not dying a virgin. And that is just not a choice that she would have made anywhere else in the normal world. If that's not a sign that they're accepted their fate, I don't know what is. Because Jackie would not even know who Travis is in the real world if he wasn't involved with the team.
Right.
Guys are really forgiving when a woman will say, I've lowered my standards. You'll do.
It's true. It is true. It's true.
But Travis, a little hesitant. He does say he's in love with Natalie. You know, on first viewing, this scene kind of weirded me out, and I almost had to go back and be like, okay, how much was it into the effect? This was his choice. I mean, Jackie definitely did some head games with how she set up the scenario. But I think, and Wynter, tell me your thought on this, because I think that Travis said, like, I love Natalie, or I think I love Natalie. I think he did this like strategically to overcome the insecurity he was plagued with in the previous episode when he and Natalie didn't consummate.
Well, probably doing it with someone he's probably not that into.
Yeah.
I completely see that. I can't imagine. And I kind of again, I know they're doing this for a reason. Issa, you'll probably agree. It's different to be the guy that's being passed around than the one girl in the group who's being passed around. I don't think these guys ever expected that to be the case. I don't think that was, their goal in life. But I think that, putting Travis in the situation where he has a smorgasbord of young ladies that he can sort of take advantage of, I think that the mismatch of him and Jackie, and through that, the realization that he does truly, truly, really have feelings for Natalie, it's got to be conflicting, which also is why the scenes after that kind of threw me off, because that just really put it into, and then he started to become the prey.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
He went from having the smorgasbord to becoming the smorgasbord.
Yeah, to becoming the smorgasbord.
Yeah, literally.
And this was the catalyst for this. Okay, so first off, I just have to say, Mari and Akila are like the best Greek chorus. And they're like, what? Coach is hanging out with Nat? Missy's not going to like that. Like, their reactions are so good, but they were feeling the energy in the ground. But then Lottie, when they realized that Jackie is off with Travis, Lottie's like, she doesn't belong to him. And okay, we got to go and bust this up. And it was kind of weird because, at first it seems like this is going to create a rift with Natalie. This is Travis, or this is Jackie crossing a line. Travis is going to go along with it because he's a teenage boy. But what did you make, Wynter, of this this shift, because this was where it really all turned. Shauna feels the baby kick, and we get the further illusion like it's coming, it's inside, it's here, that baby is like Damien, the demon spawn of the forest.
I got that feeling. And I see, this is where I struggle, because as much as there's like several genres being thrown at us, which I've never seen in the show before in my life. I've never had a show like when The Sopranos would do like a funny-ish episode. It's like they couldn't do more than like one of those a season, because it would completely disrupt the narrative and the personas that they created in like this universe, right? Like those always felt like external of the universe. So when I'm sitting here right now thinking to myself, could it be a demon spawn? It absolutely could be. That's just Yellowjackets, baby. Like that.
Right. It could go in any direction. It
could go in any direction.
You'll find yourself speculating and making the most ridiculous theories, but then you like really stop and think, no, it really could go this way. I'm not being ridiculous right now. Then you open Reddit and you realize, no, you're not being ridiculous.
Other people are thinking that. And the other thing too is like, Lottie, I forget which episode this was, but Issa, you might remember, like maybe three episodes ago, she was having that like Nightmare on Elm Street dream. Remember that? That was like the way the producers and the writers call on other areas of the genre. I really love that, because this is why the show is written specifically for, it wants a wide audience, but it's written specifically for us Gen Xers who can call out and spot those things. And I'm like, oh my God, this is Tina walking through the boiler room, down the alley. Like this is the type of thing. So like it also kind of makes you go, that's why a lot of the time I'm wondering, is this happening, or is this just like it was when you were 16? Right. You only had 16 years of memories or realities to go off on, right? So you didn't have like this. Now we have this whole decades behind us with experiences and knowledge. We can pull from anything and reason with it. But if you're 16 and all you have is 16 years of what you've been looking at, like anything could be real. It could be fake. It could be a ghost. It could be a witch. I don't know. Like, I want to say it's a supernatural calling, summoning that she's giving birth to this spawn. But I also think that it could be like witchy and Kate Bushy, and they're just all like, it's, I don't know. Like, I'm just going off of what I would have thought at that age. I don't know. Yeah. We used to, when I was 16, we used to tread on Bones, Thugs, and Harmony and spin the record backwards because we thought they were telling us a message.
Oh my God, there was so many subliminal messages in songs back then. I remember listening to a bunch of them backwards. Yes.
Yeah. And I don't believe I can't believe I spent 12 seconds doing that today. I can't.
Glenn, you want to know what I picked up from this thing? Just random. It was when the girls noticed that Travis and Jackie took off, and it was Shauna who came to Jackie's defense when she was like, they're not doing anything wrong. But Shauna knew what they were doing because Jackie told her what they wanted to do. And at that point, you know that she's just wanting Jackie to lose her virginity because then she'll feel a little bit better about what she's carrying and doing behind Jackie's back.
Yeah. It's very interesting how this took the turn. And then when they're running, the moment where they hear the wolves howling and they start howling back.
Yeah.
I just like, it's witchy, baby. It's all witchy woman stuff. And that's just like, I feel like every woman who's been 16 in the last 100 years has called on the wolves.
Yes.
When have we not called on the wolves? When have we not? That it's just a women who run with wolves type narrative. Like this is just feels like what they're supposed to do. And it's a full moon.
And this has not been referenced, but okay, so Ashley Lyle, co-creator on Twitter, did confirm the crash took place June of 96. Just want to point out The Craft did hit theaters in May of 96.
Okay.
So they've seen it already.
Yeah, they've seen The Craft.
The Craft is a classic.
Absolutely seen The Craft. And there's absolutely a faction of Craft lovers and Clueless lovers. There is the Clueless group, and there's the group who's seen The Craft like 70 times. That's it's interesting that The Craft came out right after, in the cloud of Clueless, and very much, from my perspective, severed the longevity of Clueless, because it became like, there's girls like this and girls like this, and the girls like this definitely related more to The Craft than they did to Clueless.
And then you have girls like me who related to both, and I just still
like me. Exactly.
I'm like, listen, I like shopping, I like designer, but I also
like all that stuff,
and I like spell on your ass.
Exactly. Witchy women.
And it's interesting too, because when you look at the cross section of the soccer team, and I do have to say this is an interesting comparison to what I knew in real life, is that there aren't a lot of stereotypical jock athlete characters. I mean, they are all athletes and they're very gifted, but we have a very big cross section of different social groups in the Yellowjackets.
Yeah. I think it's interesting how multicultural it is. Obviously it reminds me so much of how I grew up. I grew up in San Francisco, and it was just, obviously San Francisco is a liberal haven that the right thinks is just, bacchanal. But like, I definitely feel like it created a makeup and made up for me that being around these people, you get something out of that. And I like how comfortable they all are around each other, which also feels very 96. We weren't having like deep conversations about racial tension, political, anything like that. It was definitely a conversation. It was definitely something that was discussed, but amongst each other, we kicked it really hard and we're a clique together. So I like that. I also think it's really important that that's represented on this show.
Oh, absolutely. So we have Travis and Jackie going at it. It seems to be a good experience for Jackie compared to what we saw in the pilot with Jeff having some navigation issues.
No girl's first time goes that way. That was almost a little too perfect.
Yeah, it was a little too perfect.
Thank you, Wynter. I said it last night. We did immediate reactions, and I said, I don't want to go there again, but girls don't finish on the first time. The first time is awful. And he's so overrated.
And it's so overrated. And she was having a good time. She was really enjoying it. And
I started questioning if she's really a virgin.
Well, no, I think that the fact that he doesn't really care about her in that way made it easier for him to just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. If he has like these deep feelings for Natalie, it makes him nervous.
Right. Yeah. And I think we're discounting the magic of the haunted cabin and the attic and the spirits.
Right.
It's not just all spooky manifestation. It can also be a pleasant experience.
A pleasant experience, I guess. But definitely there was an element of romance to it, but it was really hard for me to find the spirit of that because Jackie is just so annoying. She's my least favorite person.
Afterwards, she says, "So that was sex."
Yeah.
I was like, way to kill the moment, Jackie.
Way to kill the moment, Jack. Just not interesting.
Yes. But what do you make of Travis saying we disappeared though, right? We're not here. Like Travis is out of body, out of mind after this experience.
Everybody had a different reaction to this shroom/berries. I think the berries mixed with the shroom is what really made some of them go crazier than others. I think the berries also have something to do with why it hit them so hard.
Yeah.
100%. I absolutely think that, we don't know what that pruno was made of. I feel like 4 months enough time for Pruno to just become what it needs to become. Who knows? And how did she know how to make it? These are the other things that I'm just like questioning. Like these girls did not.
Girl, there's no Google back then. There is no Google for her to figure out how to make this.
How do they know? And between that, the Pruno, the backwoods wine and the shrooms, I just think that everyone was having feelings and having effects. I'm wondering if that even really happened. what the preceding scene, the scene thereafter where they're chasing him through the woods. I'm like, is this? And I know some of it has to be real, but I'm also saying that there's so much going on. It's just really hard to tell. That's why I have to watch like 3 episodes of it.
But we haven't had, correct me if I'm wrong, we haven't had anything be proven to be a hallucination yet, because even in the episode where Lottie thought she saw the deer shedding its antlers and thought she saw Ty eating dirt, like those things really happened. Those were confirmed.
Right.
I think they've been very honest with the audience thus far in everything that's been portrayed has happened, at least my recollection.
Right.
You know, so I don't know, but what's interesting, so I've got the scene queued up here because I like to go through the episode while we're talking about it. When they storm in, so we've got Mari, we've got Shauna, we've got Lottie. Ty and Van are also like angry, like coming into the room before they get distracted with each other there. But in the confrontation of Jackie, I mean, Lottie stepped up before. If you thought this was about Ty and Jackie for over who's queen bee, I mean, Lottie's tossing Jackie in the pantry and grabbing Travis, and it is on. Oh my God. Like, talk about like teen boy fantasy to nightmare.
Yeah, that happened really quick too. That
0 to 100.
Yeah, 0 to 100. That was wild.
And what was it? There was, it was one of the vampire movies. So, and I like that the series is very mashup culture and like a love letter to Gen X, but there was a very similar scene to that. I want to say it was like Interview with the Vampire.
It was Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah, very similar scene where they're going at it with Travis and then like about to start eating Travis, and we get the visions that he's having at the time. I mean, this was like terrifying to look at the
Somebody
way.
said Dracula. I think it is Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah. So I guess my question is, so I'm trying to understand this. So we talked about the Wendigo theory that was early on in the series. We're reading about the white stag theory. Lottie even refers to Travis as the stag. Like, what do you think, Wynter, is your interpretation of, okay, Travis doesn't belong to Jackie, and then Lottie almost turning him into, or literally turning him into
a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
He belongs to no one. He belongs to these woods, the streets, but they're woods.
The streets are the woods.
The streets are the woods. He belongs to no one. It's not about the men per se. It's about the women's survival, because the men have proven to be useless. I think they're incapacitated. The boys are too young. The coach has no leg. It's like, we got to do this. If we're going to survive, we've got to do this. And if anything, they're holding us back. They can't go anywhere because they can't carry the coach around for too long. He's dragging them down. And frankly, having 2 dudes there that aren't being useful, or we can't really make use of them, we might need to just eat you, because you're really slowing us down. It's just crazy to me, because there's somewhere out in the wilderness in what is it? Is it Canada? Are they in the Canadian wilderness? Ontario. And it's just insane to me. And I know it's for the purpose of the show, but 18 months to find them. They're doing a hell of a good job trying to be found too. They're not trying and making efforts. So it's almost like maybe there is a supernatural force that's trying to keep them in this space. But the guys, to me, I don't see their value and their purpose, which is something that I think is on purpose. Is that part for us is on purpose. We're supposed to be like, these guys aren't, they're just dudes, and we can easily do without them at any moment. And that's what I like about, maybe that's why they didn't pick someone that was a little bit more notable or hot to look at, because they were like, you're going to forget about them so fast. You have no idea.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And it's being teased on multiple episodes that the guys are just pointless at this particular time. Even Laura Lee stepping up to Coach Bennett saying, what are you going to do to stop me? You can just tell that these girls just see these guys as such, they're disposable to them.
Well,
disposable.
in defense of Coach Ben, he did know how to prepare, skin, dress a deer for consumption. Like he had a little bit of wilderness hunting experience that he was able to. I mean, not completely in nothing, but yes, for the most part, Javi has his art. I don't know. Do we need that? Do we need carvings?
No.
We got Van recapping movies. I mean, do we need Javi to?
No.
No.
And frankly, they should be going out and doing all the shit that Van is doing, that Ty is doing. You know, they're literally not doing that. And that is just, maybe we're sparing the world of two men who would be the same. It would be the same situation in life once they become husbands. You're shoveling the snow and to get the car in, and they're just like, I wish I knew how to do that. You're amazing, honey. No, the world is overpopulated.
I feel like I need to go apologize to my wife, and I'm not even sure what for. We get the takeoff. We get the scene that we saw in the original promo where they're chasing Travis through the woods. They're holding weapons. Like after he breaks out of the being the feast, he's running. This moment with Shauna and Javi, where Javi is like, Shauna, what's up? And she like growls, run at him. It, for me, was the scariest part of the episode.
Yeah. That was another, again, like I'm listening to see if it's like a warped voice or if it's just like run versus like run. You know what I mean? Like, and it definitely sounded amplified by the spirit of the devil, the Wendigo. Somebody keeps saying it's a Wendigo, and I'm like, I don't know a lot about Wendigo legend, but maybe it's a skinwalker.
Yeah. Look, I was really resistant to that early on, the Wendigo theories, like even people saying like Deer Lady. I feel like this is a mashup, though. I feel like this is a mashup of just a lot of different things. And I don't know enough about Indigenous culture, First Nations to that region of Canada, but I'd be very interested to research that to see if there's anything specific to those tribes that might come into play with Ontario. But I love that they're drawing from so many different influences. So while the hunt is going on, Ty and Van are just
having the most romantic freaking scene we've seen so far.
Yes, this was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Van removed her mask. I mean, like this is just lovely. This is like one of the best relationships I've ever seen depicted on screen.
It really is. Like they're like crushable and they're memeable and they speak to just it's not even a subgroup. They speak to relationships that, again, we just get straight up like made into. I can't even find the words for it because it's just such bullshit sometimes what we're presented with. And these girls being so young embody like the future of the way I want to see same-sex relationships represented on screen, where we're not talking overtly about the othering of the pair, that we're just talking about they're really in love. And the biggest issue between them right now is that one's missing half her face. And that's the central issue at this time. And that's what's so incredible about the way they're written, the way they're presented. And I was just really quick, I was Googling Wikipediaing Wendigo, and it's an Algonquin subgrouping, but it's also like native to Canada. With the what do you call those?
Antlers, horns?
Antlers, the antlers. It's native. So people keep saying Wendigo, and I'm like, okay, maybe the Wendigo is the situation. But yeah, back to Van and Ty. Love them so. And then we learn also, is this around the same time, Glenn, that Ty pulls up to the polling place? And
that was earlier. Yeah, I mean, so we saw briefly her marriage is falling apart. She's looks like a lock to win the election, but then really Ty and Natalie don't have much to do in this episode. Actually, not even Misty so much. It's all about really getting roped into Shauna and the aftermath of cleaning up Adam's murder. But we do have Coach Ben and Natalie, and Coach Ben, I mean, this is like the best kind of high, where he's talking about, no, it's all about love. And if you and Travis can make this work, you can save us all. And gives this beautiful speech that Natalie is ready to go take on the world and reclaim the boy she has fallen for. But wouldn't you know it, Misty has overheard this and says, I heard your words. I couldn't agree more. And then Ben has to say, I don't love you. I love Paul. And then comes out in one of the most fantastic ways I've ever seen to the forest, and announces to the world that he is gay, which I am sure there will be ripples and reverberations with him and Misty in the next episode.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Do you think, Wynter, that this went on too long with him and Misty, or is this the like right point for this to fall apart?
I mean, is it Misty hasn't gotten her hooks in yet? And that's again the beauty of the show. I feel very nervous for him in the hands of Misty. I feel very nervous. She's already shown, just sort of like the way she interacts with, through her job, that the infirmed are sort of barriers to her freedom. And if they cross her, they will be, she can put them this close to death. So, without that, emotional romantic connection that she thought she was building, she is now just a caretaker. And that means that he is not going to be able to thrive. If he doesn't fall in line with what she wants, he will not survive. And I can't imagine him feeling like he can stand for another second if he starts not liking it, that he has to do whatever Misty says. It's incredible to him that he has to bow to Misty. That's just not something that she's going to. And because there's no attraction, because he's not thinking about her in the way that she thought he was for real, outside of the reasons why it's really not appropriate for him to be thinking about her that way at all, I don't see good things happening.
Yeah, a couple of the things that I picked up from these things is I felt that Coach Ben gave the complete opposite speech from what Jackie did earlier to get Travis. She completely took a crap on love and said how nothing matters. And you have Coach Ben doing the complete opposite thing on the woods. I thought it was a nice contrast between, the two speeches. Also, one more thing, going back to the Ty and Van thing. When Van took off her mask, I couldn't help but to think she's going to survive. Her scar is healing beautifully. She doesn't look like she has an infection. It looks like she's doing quite well. So that to me put me in what is going to happen to Ben, because I thought maybe, she doesn't make it out of that, injury. So I thought that was interesting. And I loved Ben coming out. I thought that was such a wonderful scene. It was beautiful. Poor Misty, though, how she didn't read the signs, I don't know.
I feel bad for her, but she also doesn't have that. Misty doesn't read the signs because she doesn't have that, like, it doesn't click for her, right? Like every situation she's presented so far in the last, I want to say, few episodes where she can position herself in control, it requires sabotage, right? Like she's sabotaging something in order to get back control of that or sway of it. So I have no illusions that more sabotage will occur. She sabotaged so many different ways for them to even get the hell out of there. You know what I mean? So I just, it's incredible that this character exists and is not dead yet. It's just, it's incredible that she's one of the survivors. It's just incredible.
Yeah. I mean, Coach Ben, I don't know. I wouldn't count on season 2 money for Coach Ben, given the way things are going. And Javi as well. I'm worried about Javi. Yeah. I think Travis might be the only guy left coming into season 2.
Well, Javi's definitely not Adam. So at least we know that much.
Yeah. Thank God that's over. So tired of that.
Everybody wanted to speculate about that, and I'm like, there's 100 other things we can speculate about.
Yeah, but let's get off of that narrative for once and for all. Thank goodness we put that to an end early.
But do you feel like I was talking about this last night? Like the back tattoo, if they don't pay that off next episode into some explanation about Adam and why he had that elaborate mountain range and cryptic tattoo, I will feel like I maybe don't trust the show as much going forward. On like a freeze frame, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if the creators, I mean, granted, they did work on an alternate reality game based show before this for AMC, but I feel like as a freeze frame show, you know, if we're rapidly dissecting all of these things, like, I don't want that to be for naught. Like, I'll be a little less enthusiastic if the tattoo at least isn't explained. I'm still
I think there's more to Adam. I just don't know that. I think they may. I don't know. I think in a good show where you're supposed to be taken by surprise and things not pay off the way you expected, you have to throw a couple of characters in there to throw people off. I do think there's still a little bit more to Adam. Just not. He's not happy. I still stand by the fanboy theory. I think he's just one of those weird, creepy fanboys of the Yellowjackets because it's obvious that they're, you know, a cultural thing in New Jersey. So
perhaps he hooked up with Misty and asked for her socks after and then ghosted her. You know, we'll find out next
I
week.
also think that's interesting. We don't know, maybe because so much time has passed, but I bet you next season we really start getting into what the culture is like for around them, like what the similar to, like, you know what I mean? Like similar to the, you know, it's a true crime situation.
Exactly. I think we're going to get that scene where they get found and they have to do some kind of like a quick like showing of the press and all over the news and how big of a deal this was. Because I mean, this guy had a book. There was a book written about it. And it's 1996 where these kind of cases did take over the media. Everybody was covering those kind of things. So I would love to see how big of a cultural thing that, or, you know, icons they became once they were found.
Well, the other thing I'm not clear on is, do people know they ate people? Or is it just suggested that they ate people? Because whatever is in Shauna's journals or whatever she's protecting, there's another part of the story that's not out there. So whatever Jessica Roberts, that her name, whatever she's trying to dig up means that there's more to the story based on things that she may have heard.
Yeah.
So it's just really interesting to find. It's just going to be really interesting to sort of find out what it, beyond the supernatural elements, which nobody will freaking believe. What else are they holding back that they don't want out there? It can't be
true crime. Yeah, I was going to say, as a true crime fanatic, because I loved all things true crimes, I would assume that maybe this become a speculation, and because the girls won't talk, it became a bigger thing than what it should have been. Because think about it, how many bodies were found? How many survivors were found? Where were the bodies, or how were the bodies found? Technically speaking, good DNA work could tell you this person died of the plane crash, or this person can tell you, they can tell you they died months later. So what happened? Why is their body not full there? So I feel like because of the evidence that gets found once the girls are found and they come up with this line, we all know it by heart, that people start speculating about what really happened out there, and that's why it became so big.
Yeah, because obviously they know the number of girls who were on the plane and staff and whomever,
right?
And we're,
I mean, if we're going to start eating people, what did they do with those bodies? And how are those bodies going to be found? Because people are going to be like, okay, there's 10 of you missing. Where are these bodies? What did you do with them? Yeah.
I mean, I think it's interesting that the people that were in the movie alive, the Chilean group, they just came right out and said, we ate them. We ate them.
Yeah. Yeah, they were not messing around.
Before
you know what? I should have known. I should have known I was going to be like into this kind of dark things when my mom was like talking about that movie when I was little, and she was so like traumatized by it, and I freaking loved it. I'm like, this movie is so real, and she's like, why do you like this movie? You're a little girl. And then
I rented it and fast forwarded to the crash and then to the eating.
Thank you. I'm like, I just want to get to the part. Like, there's one point the girl sitting there freezing, and I'm like, I don't care. Eat each other.
I've never seen Alive in its entirety.
Oh, really?
No, nobody has.
I read the book and I saw it in theaters. The book, the craziest thing is that they've realized at the end, if they would have hiked like 10 miles or 20 miles in the other direction, they would have found a closed resort that had food.
Yeah, but then you don't get to eat your friends.
I know. I mean, it's crazy though. No, they did. They talk about in the book, like they tried denying it for like a day and people like figured it out. Like read the epilogue in the book. It's interesting talking about the whole process.
Do they talk about what the human tasted like?
Somebody said chicken.
Everything tastes like chicken, girl. You know that's what we all say about everything.
The chicken.
Okay.
No, I thought they said that the butt was good. It was the trunks were always the best part of human.
Well,
I
there
would
you go.
assume. Right.
Yeah.
That makes
Oh,
sense.
as a vegan, this would all be so weird for me.
Yeah.
So okay, so look, we got the confirmation though in terms of payoff. I mean, Lottie's the high priestess. Lottie is the antler queen. She had that. Lottie had that. Well, I think Lottie's the OG antler queen because she had that headdress like at the ready to go in this tonight.
Did you scream when when they showed the visual of her with that? Because I literally audibly gasped. Like, yes, of course, you're the antler queen.
I did too. I loved it. Loved it.
I mean, like iconic. Like that's. I mean, this was so great tonight seeing this, and then ordering Shauna saying, "You know what to do," and Shauna goes to slice his throat, and it's only when Natalie shows up, Natalie and Jackie show up and stop her from doing that and grab the knife that he's biting down on a pine cone. Like Travis is not long for this world at this point, and then Travis is just like, "It's okay, it's nothing," and just sort of saunters off after. Kind of crazy.
I mean, he just went through a lot. Like he was molested and then almost murdered, and then he's like, it's nothing, but takes off running. Yeah, that explains the lifelong issues that Travis had. Everything is explained now, just based on that scene. I don't even know what he goes through after this, but just based on how it started for him, I can see why he was traumatized forever.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier. I mean, this is the tribes. If they're warring tribes, I think we know what the future seasons hold now, because we see that there's a very clear divide between Lottie, Shauna, Akila, and Mari. And then by default, we have the others, and then the red shirts will kind of shake out in the middle. But I'm curious what's going to happen in Doomcoming. The additional thing that they're setting up with this is then Shauna has called Ty and Natalie over to Adam's apartment, says he's the blackmailer. Natalie very pissed off that she killed him because Natalie thinks this is tied to Travis's bank account. So I guess that's the thing. Like, even though we now know Adam, not Javi, Jeff, the blackmailer, we do not know who murdered Travis and emptied his bank account. And I don't think we know who sent the postcards. So there's still some very big mysteries left to unpack in the season finale and beyond.
Right.
But the big takeaway here is that we do get the coming together, the wheels in motion, because they need to get rid of a body. And who better to call than Citizen Detective #1, Misty Quigley. Misty, who's getting her second makeover. Apparently, a makeover is the key to Misty's heart and bonding, because Jessica Roberts...
Or she's easily influenced, which is what I grab out of this.
Yeah.
Yes. And Misty is making it seem like she's ready to team up with Jessica and tell her story, that they have not called me for 25 years. Jessica got into her head and she's going to betray the team and work with a ghostwriter. And then I don't know if she's lying or not here, but she is interrupted by Natalie. What do you think of this? I think we talked about this earlier. So Wynter, you think Jessica Roberts is straight up going to die? Like Misty's just playing her?
I mean, it's a federal crime. What Misty has done. Kidnapping is a federal crime. So it's either you've already got like a tricky background. So it wouldn't be think about it. It would be the best narrative. Girl who survives out in the woods, potentially eating people, takes hostage, and puts in her basement, reporter tracking her down for several weeks, months, however long she's been down there. And, yeah, like Jessica's a good reporter and she's knows how to like manipulate her way into a story and out of it and out of the situation. Misty knows this. I feel like Misty is a master manipulator. Yeah. She's not going to fall for it. If anything, Jess will have an unfortunate accident, but she's not getting out of that. I just don't feel like she's getting out of that basement. I could be wrong, but not alive.
Oh, I am so with you. I felt the manipulation for both ends here. Like when Misty was like faking what she would act like. And I feel like Jessica is also manipulating Misty. Like they're just both going back and forward, literally bullshitting each other. Yeah. Also, I just want to thank Mike D in the chat who has sent us 2 super chats letting us know how much fun we have been and he's having watching us discuss the show.
Thank you, Mike.
But then we do have Misty who's forgiving Natalie. Like apparently with Misty, if you just give a well-crafted apology, all is good. And Natalie, it's interesting to see teenage Natalie wearing her heart on her sleeve so much once you get past the tough exterior. And then adult Natalie this season has been exceptionally manipulative of Kevin, her former sponsor, of Misty. I mean, Wynter, what do you make of this? Do you think it's all for show, or does Natalie have any genuine friendship feelings for Misty?
No, I don't. I think that they're bonded by their experience. I think that there is the thing about Natalie is Natalie understands how to deal with wounded people, because look how she definitely dealt with her mom.
Yeah.
When she came back, she only really had a goal to get what she needed to get, but she was mindset was already set up to know what she was walking into. Mm-hmm. The resentment there. So Natalie's carrying a ton of resentments anyway. So it's like, she knew that Misty had messed with her car. She knew that she had to ride with her and go to get to figure out what's going on with Travis. She knows that she's a means to an end, but because she didn't have that, now that Natalie has this relationship with the other girls again, and that they're united by this situation with the postcards, the blackmail, whatever, at this point, it's like, do we keep Misty involved? Or do we try to fucking cut her loose? But she's too much of a wild card. You can't just get rid of Misty that easily. It's not like going to be like a thing that's going to be able to go away. You can make her go away. She's already shown that she won't go quietly into that good night.
Yeah. It's very interesting to see. And remember that going back to episode 1 and 2, Natalie's original plan, based on thinking Misty sent the postcard, she did come back to New Jersey with the intention of killing Misty. Like that was her original goal. So it's interesting.
Can we talk about the joy in Misty's face when Natalie says we need to get rid of a body? It was the most happy I've seen her the entire season. I cannot wait for all of them to start like pointing the finger at each other about all the illegal shit that they're doing. You know what I mean? Like they're just going to like you have I'm sure Taissa she probably ate her dog. Let's all be real, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, we got to talk about Taissa eating her dog. You have Natalie over here manipulating everybody, even a police, into, like, getting her records and her sponsor. Then Shauna is going to be like, well, I killed someone. And then Misty has to come clean and say, I have somebody kidnapped in my basement. And they're all going to realize that they're all so screwed up. I cannot wait for that moment when they're all look at each other.
So screwed up. And that's what's so crazy is that it's another thing that you brought up a really good point. They're also screwed up in broad daylight. Yeah. Like this is like everything that every little thing that they exhibit and that is weird and like creepy about them hasn't been flagged by anybody yet as anything other than just quirks. I mean, it's Misty is stealing prescription drugs. She is turning off life support machines. Taissa is out in a fugue state, like traumatizing her child, eating dirt in the middle of the night, running out into the streets in the middle of the night, acting like a crazy wild woman. Shauna murdering rabbits in the easiest thing for her to do, and now a dude. I mean, Natalie on this bender, this cross country bender, living out of this creepy motel room. Like there is so much weirdness, but this is under our nose every single day, folks.
Yeah,
this is like forensic files stuff. They were such nice people, and then you would never have guessed.
Yeah. So Wynter, do you think in the season finale next week we get a tease of another adult survivor that will be joining the cast in season 2?
Yeah, 100%. We need one. I don't not love the central core group, but to add to that dynamic, and it has to be strong. I know people have their favorites and they want like celebs, but I don't care about that. It just has to be a strong addition.
I love this comment in the chat. I bet they made a pact. It's 1996. We all did. That's a fact. That's a fact.
That's a good one, Vern. Absolutely. 100%.
Yes.
I hope it's adult Ben or adult Jackie. That's what I would like to see added for next season.
I want an adult Jackie.
Yeah, me too.
I want an adult Jackie. That's what I want. I want to see her. I want to know what it is. I'm wondering if she's still in the woods. Is she still in the woods?
Yeah.
We
Living
talked
in the
about
woods?
this
Yeah.
a couple episodes ago. I could see there's like a miniature like cult industry. If the Antler Queen thing started and caught on, right? It's like, why not take people on retreats? I mean, start like a fringe religious group or something of survivalists.
Oh, like a cult leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it almost going kind of leftovers season 2 with that a little bit, and having like a subplot or something to do with that. I think also, Wynter, you made a really good point earlier. I think if this is going 5 seasons, I think we're also going to probably get a central supporting character that's in charge of the search efforts. To see that perspective as well. And I think that's another opportunity for them to bring in a really strong actress or actor to fill that role.
Yeah,
Well,
and I think the
go ahead.
adults. Oh, sorry. I think the
No, go
adults
ahead.
still in the woods could be just as simple as this shit was going batshit crazy and they took off and people thought they died trying to get out of the woods and they're still out there somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's like a Nell situation for Jackie, or she's like, like she talks to Wynn. It's just like, that would be great, right? Like that would be a callback. She's like, Nell.
I'm done. I'm done.
I wrote on my Reddit alt that I swore I wasn't going to out myself on this, but somebody accused one of my theories of being shitty fan fiction. And I was like, I'll give you shitty fan fiction. Shauna had that baby, left that baby in the woods to die. It was raised by wolves, comes back, contacts her. Season 2 moves in with their family, bonds with Callie, bonds with Shauna, bonds with Jeff, and then decides that she can't be tied down by the shackles of society, goes back to the woods when they're on a camping trip, and then turns around and murders Jeff, paying off what Shauna said in the first episode, that she got him pregnant. The baby was raised to be a killer, to murder him.
Exactly. How dare they say shitty fan fiction? Are you making that into a spec script? Because that's good. That's
Take
bullshit.
my money, Glenn.
Take my money, Glenn.
And it elaborated the wolf will teach Callie how to be good at soccer, so Callie gets a scholarship. Will help Jeff make better furniture, so the furniture store turns around. There's an entire spin-off series here.
And it even teaches Jeff how to blackmail the right way.
How to blackmail the right way. It's a whole montage. My whole thing is like, I want to know whose baby. I want to know what happens to the baby. That's like my only focus right now. Is the baby. Everything else I can sit tight for, but I need to know what happens to this baby, because it is not her daughter, right?
I have a bad feeling. I have a bad feeling
too, because it's not the daughter, right? It can't be.
No, it can't be the daughter, because it's the 25th year. Callie's still in high school, so it's definitely not the daughter.
There's the mystery. There's the dude in the credits that looks kind of like Coach Ben, and then there's the woman on the hill in the opening credits.
So according to IMDb, this guy is credited as Stan. No,
Stan
last name.
Stan was Misty's date in episode 2.
Oh, so that's who they're. Okay, never mind. Well, IMDb sometimes can be wrong as well. So.
I know, but mysteries. We got mysteries. Like, so Adam's dead. We're gonna move on. We're gonna have new mysteries.
I've already moved on. I moved on the second after it happened. I was on and moved.
And we did see in the murder montage, very shades of Gus Van Sant's Psycho remake of Shauna having these flashes, including her burying something or uncovering something in the snow. And we did see a scene that they shot but didn't show us of them having sex, where Shauna had tied Adam up. And we're having sex. I think the rest of the shots were all things we've seen in other episodes.
Yeah. I definitely think that Shauna is she is one and the same. It's not like Ty, who has a split personality, right? Like her personalities have completely like detached from one another, almost like the movie Doppelganger, where they're like split in half. But I think Shauna is one and the same, and that probably scares her more than anything, is how she restrains herself from having the urge to kill. Like, it was so that's why I love the scene. It was so effortless for her to do that. And it's also so like, okay, from the perspective of her husband, of Jeff, you did it. Okay. Yeah. Well, I understand. It's like people have somehow made accommodations for these gals, and they have chosen to stay in the recesses of society, living their lives, but just not trying to be anything more than they are, which is probably why it was so unsettling for Ty to decide to become a public figure.
Right.
Yeah, which is interesting. So Wynter, I know you need to bounce. You're out. Thank you for joining us.
Oh my
Thank
God.
you so much. This was so much fun.
Oh, you both are so great. I'm so honored to be asked. And honestly, just call me back anytime. We've got the
let's do this after the season.
Let's just whenever. Just let me know. I'm around.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So you can follow Wynter online. She's at Wynter Mitchel. That's Wynter with a Y. Thanks for joining us, Wynter.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you so much.
We'll talk soon. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
So, Issa, before we wrap everything up, we've got some mail. We got, oh my God. Okay, so check this out. Issa and I have been doing this other podcast. I've been doing it for years. Issa and I have been doing it for a year now.
Actually, my 1 year anniversary is this month.
Really? That's awesome. And what's the most we get from the other podcasts we do? We get DMs saying, like, I know who Brock Lesnar should face at WrestleMania. Like, we don't get the best fan theories, but we got like over a dozen just off our last episode. And I have to read this one because Sonia Fallhaber said, it seems to me in the pilot episode, the nice things they said about each other at the party were hints to the fate of the characters. Van's smile was gone. Laura Lee dies because of her faith. Thaisa's stubbornness has been her downfall. And
oh my God.
Just waiting. Here's how we know this is going to pay off. If Lottie is rocking a pilgrim hat at some point, because remember on Acid, Natalie said, Lottie, I like your pilgrim hat. Like, holy shit. That is some long-term storytelling they did with the pilot.
That's amazing. And that's an excellent catch by Sonia. That's incredible.
Absolutely. And we've had some other emails. One that I think is interesting after tonight, Becca Stone emailed in to say that Lottie could be both the Antler Queen and the Pit Girl. So kind of like what we were talking about earlier, that she could start as the Antler Queen, but Shauna could unseat her at some point.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. I just think that Shauna, I don't know, I feel like she's always shown these like lights of being a little heartless and a little reckless. Like, think about it. From the first episode, we learned she's screwing her best friend's boyfriend. You know what I mean? So she just seems like someone that doesn't, I don't know. I don't know that she involves her feelings in a lot of things. So I can see her overtaking Lottie for sure.
So here's the deal. If you have theories, if you have questions, if you have things you want to know, our email address is yellowjacketsbuzz@gmail.com. And I've been doing my best to at least respond to everyone.
Can we also talk about our Apple Podcast ratings? Because we have gotten a lot of really nice comments on there.
Oh my God, the reviews that you all are leaving are so nice. I mean,
I know.
I guess we should maybe peel back the curtain and the backstory on this. I know we talked about it early on. I discovered the first 2 episodes of the show over Thanksgiving. I said to Issa, you got to watch the show. And then I said to Issa, we got to do a podcast about this show. I am normally very methodical and like to plan things out far in advance, but in this case, it was like, we got to do this now. We got to.
I know you were like, let's just do it on your channel. We're going to get started. And I'm like, okay. So at first I wasn't too sure. Then Thanksgiving weekend, I tried to watch the show, remember? And my nephew watched the opening segment. And it was like, nah, this ain't for me. So I was like, okay, Glenn, you're going to have to wait until I'm done with family and I get back home and I watched it. And you were right. I was hooked as soon as I started watching it. Like, paying attention watching it.
It's so good, and it's become the high point of my week. I almost don't know how I'm going to feel after next week's finale, and we have to wait like maybe a year for more episodes. But here's the good thing. I don't want to spoil it yet, but we got interviews lined up. We've got some people joining us for the review of the finale and a postseason episode we're going to do about mysteries. I'm sure we'll have Wynter back as well. But we got interviews with some folks that names you'll recognize, faces you'll recognize. And I'm just putting it out there now. I want to interview every single person we can that worked on this series. I mean, I'll talk to someone in craft services. I want to know what they were serving for breakfast.
I want to talk to someone in the, like, whoever selected the music.
Yes, the music supervisor.
Soundtrack. Like, every song seems to be so perfect for the scene. So whoever picked the music, would love to talk to them.
Absolutely. And this show, let me just say, I mean, Issa and I come from a world of covering professional wrestling where, yes, sometimes we have talent that like follows us or interacts with us. But for the most part, like, we can't get interviews with anyone. They don't want
No.
them talking to non-approved channels. I just have to say the people that are working on Yellowjackets are like the kindest and most supportive of the fan community that I've ever encountered. And I'm so thrilled to be a part of this community. So thrilled to be doing this podcast with you, Issa, and really looking forward to what we have in the postseason because, we're going to keep this going and try and ride as much momentum as possible into season 2.
Yes, also, we should let everybody know that this week on YouTube, we're going to figure out a day, we'll tweet it, that we're going to break down the preview for the finale. So we're going to have a little midweek treat for you guys.
And there are some people that you're going to see in the finale and you're going to go, oh, they're safe. And there's some people in the preview. You're going to see some people and go, oh, they're safe. And there's some people you're not going to see in the preview or the photos. And you go, oh, maybe they're not safe. Who knows what's
I
gonna
can't
happen.
wait. I'm counting. I know this episode just came out today and I'm already counting down the hours for the finale. I am, but I'm not, because like you said, it's bittersweet. It's the last one we're going to get in a while. I think after like it's being out and people have watched it, we should do like a watch along or a rewatch or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Hey, I'm contacting Lauren Moran, our wonderful guest last week, and I'm like, I need you to draw and animate. We're going to do a pitch for Lil Yellowjackets, where there are 10-year-olds playing youth soccer, and Misty's got a magical bird named Anastasia that follows the team along. You know, I think there's a series there. I think we could get that pitched. You know,
Agreed.
And I love Wynter's idea with the PSAs at the end. You know,
yes.
A lot of knowing is half the battle moments. This has been fun tonight. Thank you, everyone, for spending time with us today. I know the recording of this in 2 parts was a little different, but hey, everybody, we'll catch you back here next time on Yellowjackets Buzz. Until then,